Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Inquiring Systems Generative and Integrated Fundraising Webinar. We're so glad that you all could be here today, and we're looking forward to this presentation. Unfortunately, though, Claire, who was our presenter for today, and many of you know Claire, she has had a very recent family emergency, and she had to go to the East Coast. So Claudia Meglin
Hello, everybody.
is here with us, and we are together, Claudia and I, in conversation. Will be giving the presentation today. Right now, everyone's on mute, and Claudia's going to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so I want to give a little bit of a technical lay of the land here. So for you who have not used Zoom yet, we muted everybody. And in the lower left part of your screen, you see a little microphone. So if you want to speak, this will be an interactive webinar. So if you want to speak, please unmute yourself. And if you have any problems, technical problems, you can also use, there's a little chat button. You can use that too in order to be in connection with us. But I think that's all about it. We are recording this meeting, and without further ado, I think we're just diving in.
Okay, very good. And as I was saying, Claire Densmore is not able to be here, but she is planning to give the great in-depth webinar that she was working on, and that will come in January. But for today, what we're going to focus on together is this giving season, and that's between now and the new year. And so I want to make this as interactive as possible. But I know in the beginning, there's a couple things we want to let you know. And one thing that I do want to add in housekeeping is that if you send us a chat message, an orange light lights up on our screen, and we can see that you are just sending us a written message. So you can feel free to do that too. For today, we want to help you guys think about this particular giving season. It's really upon us now, and it is time to really do something if you're planning to do any kind of a fundraising campaign for this giving season. And what we want to talk about today specifically is your message. And then we're going to talk about your budget and a timeline for this campaign, this fundraising plan. We're going to talk about executing it, and then we're going to talk about the circling back, the thank yous, and the working on your relationship development and management. So to begin, let's talk about finding your heart message. And we're going to ask you guys to be interactive here and to give us your thoughts here in a minute or two. What we want to talk about, though, is what makes a donor donate. And the question that we'd like for you to pose to yourself at this moment is to ask yourself, who do I give to? And why? Why do I give to those particular organizations? Maybe there's just only one, or maybe you really haven't started yet. But if you are in a position where you're a donor, I want to ask you if anyone would be willing to unmute themselves and share to tell us why you give and who you give to. Would anyone like to share? Is there somebody who would like to do that? Okay, well, I understand sharing in these
Pam,
public. Yeah.
this is Sumant, the founder of K-12 Counts.
Hi, Sumant.
Hello.
Yes.
So to answer your question, I give to at least two causes. One is to anything to do with animals, so especially wildlife. I feel that there should need to be champions for the animals who can't speak for themselves. So that's one big charity area that my wife and I focus on.
Okay,
And
great.
you can interrupt me and ask me any question you want. And then second also is also for education. Again, K-12 counts as education related. So I do give to other organizations that promote education for lower income and underprivileged kids.
Okay, and I think the heart of this is why. What can you just briefly explain?
Sure. So for the animal side, it's I think it's pretty straightforward and easy for me because it's just one of those things. I have a good relationship. We have cats at home and always had pets growing up, so I have a special affinity for them. And so anything, especially in the wild, and I feel that human beings are really trampling on their playground, as we say, and so it's something that can be done for saving them, that whole species. That would be great. So that's something that speaks to me big time.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Leah, it appears that your hand is raised. Do you want to share?
Sure, if you're looking for more shares. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I give to organizations that I have a personal connection with, that either I've like volunteered with, or I've benefited from their work, or I know people who have, or so that's one category of organizations I donate to, and then another is based on like current events and things that I care about that I feel are under attack, and I give to organizations that are defending those things.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, yes, I think that, and Margie Bushman, you've raised your hands. Would you like to share? Now you need to unmute yourself. So I'm going to try to unmute you here, but I'm having a little trouble doing that on my screen. So down in the lower left corner of your screen, you should be able to unmute yourself. Okay, well, we will just keep working on that because we do want to hear from folks. And right now we are not able to do that. So, okay, well, I clicked and the screen went forward. So here, here we are. I'm actually going to try to go back if I can to this screen, because what inspires you to donate, you guys are all sharing the same thing as I think I feel, and that is that I give because I'm inspired. I only give when I'm inspired. And I think what's so important about that is that for your organization, that's the message that you need to be sending. And that is what is the essence and the passion of your organization. And that is what you want to share. Margie has just let me know that she can't unmute, and unfortunately at the moment I can't either. So this imperfect Zoom, but we will trudge on and see what we can do. And I have to be careful not to do that. What is the essence and the passion of your organization? So that is what we really want to have you all be thinking about, because the passion and the essence of your organization is the message that speaks to the heart of your donors. And so now we've talked about ourselves personally, but let's try again and see if we can unmute. I could possibly unmute everyone, but then that might not work. So, okay, actually, yeah, Margie, you are not able to unmute. We cannot unmute you.
No, she's open.
Now you're open. You want to share, Margie, about your own giving, and maybe you could segue into what the message of Friends of Permaculture International is. Margie, are you there? No, I think you might not have that your actual microphone might not be working on your computer. That might be the thing. But let's talk about the essence and the passion of your organization. Let's think about that, and let's see if anyone would like to share what you think the message of your organization is. Anyone? We're hearing some people in the background, so for some reason this mute function is not working very well.
I think I may.
Sorry? Yes, please continue.
This is Margie, and can you hear me?
Fine.
Now,
Okay.
Margie,
Hello.
we
Okay.
hear you.
Yes.
Yes.
Thanks so much. Yeah. The thing I wanted to say earlier was I was very impressed a few years ago by a book called Robin Hood Was Right. And excuse me, he speaks about, or the book speaks about, that we all give to these larger organizations that are well funded as it is, but really in your community, what's very powerful is to look for the people that are, you notice, that are working very, very hard and accomplishing a lot, and they're not the Cancer Society, and they're not all the big ones that you think of, and to consciously think about funding them. It would make a huge difference if we all did that. And then for the International Permaculture Convergences, our passion is bringing people from around the world to these international permaculture convergences that are a platform for people to share their strategies and work in person, because we've found that for the kind of work that we're doing, that this face-to-face and culture-specific, site-specific, that we need to meet in person. And so we do that every 2 to 3 years. And it's very powerful work that happens there.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And that, summing that up into a message so that your potential donor fairly quickly understands that, that you are touching on their passion. That is really the work that, and we can't accomplish that here in this hour. We're going to go on and talk about some more nuts and bolts. But for you guys, working on getting a succinct, passionate message prepared is what is the first thing that you want to do. And then you're going to take your message on the road. And so taking your message on the road basically involves several things. And that is choosing, oops, hang on a second. I'm trying to get to my screen and here it is. So the ways to do that is either on the website. Many of you already have a website that you can use. You have a landing page with a donation function, and we encourage you to for sure do that. put your message of passion up. It is the giving season, and just getting over the embarrassment of asking is one of the biggest tasks that you have, but it's such an important piece of doing this work. And then another way to do it is through email, through social media, through direct mail campaigns. If that's, some people are already in that mode of using paper and mail, and that definitely can work. And then there's also the text to give. And for me, text to give is really working on me for the United States Humane Society. When those pictures come onto my phone, I am moved to make donations. And I have made donations very recently because of the hurricanes. And they send a picture of that, and it really, really works. So we're gonna spend a little time talking about text to give as well. But right at the moment, we're talking about planning your fundraising for this giving season. And so you need to set up a little budget. And when I say budget, I don't mean an extravagant Excel spreadsheet, although it certainly could mean an intricate spreadsheet. It can be on the back of a notepad, but you want to figure out the time that you're going to have realistically to develop this plan and the money that you can spend on this plan. Especially if you're using direct mail, those tend to be a little bit on the costlier side, not necessarily, but they can be. So that is, those are the elements that are involved for you to think about, and we're going to talk more about them as we move on. So into executing your fundraising plan. Whether you choose an email outreach program, a social media drive, the addition to your website, or some sort of an online platform, and we're going to talk more about that. Your preparation and then the execution is really key. That is what you need to do to make a success of this. And the way to do that involves some actual real planning. And I suggest a paper calendar. Not everybody uses paper calendars anymore, but for this particular project, having an actual calendar that you're going to write on. You're going to write your tasks and your due dates, and you're going to calendar this process out so that you are on top of it and you don't let any of the pieces slide in the rush and madhouse of the holiday season. In order to successfully do that, of course, nowadays there are multiple online apps that can really help you to make this a success. We're just going to list a few here, but there are a zillion of them that you can utilize. Google Docs is something that allows more than one person at one computer to share and work on the same document at once. That they also have a Google Calendar that you can set up and have an electronic version of the calendar that will outline all of your tasks and due dates. Asana is another service that allows you to keep a calendar together with others, and depending on how many people are going to be involved in doing this campaign, that may prove useful. Trello we have listed. That's my personal favorite online to-do list, but it's not something I can share with anyone else. But I find it helpful in combination with other tools. And then the last two Hootsuite, and a variety of scheduling and automated social sharing apps are for the most sophisticated among us who want to set up repetitive outreach. Because a lot of people, I still am one that gets a bit annoyed by repetitive outreach, but I think a lot of people, especially younger donors, are used to and actually expect to hear more than once in the ask, and that they in fact use that as their signal. I have heard someone say that, well, when they bug me again, I'll give. And that, and so there's so many different ways now to ask, but we really encourage you to give those a try. Of course, you're going to keep the heart of your message front and center in this, so that you really are speaking with your passion. And would anyone like to try to make a comment here at this point? We can unmute folks and give it a go again. Anyone like to share?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, hi, Simon.
Yeah.
Simon, what's your organization?
It's Santa Rosa Arts Center.
Great.
And I really don't understand how this works. Like Google Docs, I've just seen it as spreadsheets, essentially. I don't understand, or I really don't, I've never even heard of any of these other things.
Sure. Yes, and that's something that we can talk about offline, and I'm happy to talk with you about that. Yeah, all of these computer apps, everyone's in varying degrees of capability. So you're right, and the emphasis here is on making sure that everyone actually starts to get more familiar with how these things work. So,
so these are two-way applications or something?
and what it is that if I send you a link to my Google Doc, then you can look at it at the same time as I'm looking at it. And so then we can both be writing and reading and making changes together. It's quite
Right,
useful.
I've done that, but I mean, how do you get people to subscribe to that, so to speak?
No, this is right now we're talking, and that's a good question. Thanks, Simon. Right now, we're not talking about using Google Docs to raise funds. We're talking about using Google Docs to plan and execute your fundraising campaign. So this isn't the actual tool that you would use. The actual tools that you would use are the email and the let's see if we can go back to that. What I was referring to are the website, email, social media, or direct mail. Now what I had moved on to was is for you in your preparation time. So that's really what we're talking about now. And let you and I talk later, Simon, so we can kind of address any additional questions you might have on that subject. Sumant is asking if yes, you know, the plan had been to send you all this slideshow in advance. As we said at the top, it really was an emergency that Claire couldn't be here to lead this webinar. So Sumant, I hear you, and I wish that we could get these slides to you right away, but right now I'm afraid I'm going to ask you to just take some notes and and we'll get the slideshow to you at the end. And I do apologize for that. Life happens. All right, so now what we want to talk about is we want to talk about the We Did It campaign. And Claudia is going to share with you about this is an online fundraising platform. And I'm actually curious if people could speak up if they've actually been involved with We Did It. Has anyone participated in the We Did It fundraising platform? It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like
No, Pam, I haven't done that, but there are a lot of platforms otherwise as well. I'm actually hearing about this one just the first time from you, but there are a lot of other platforms, and I think they're also very popular.
That's right. That's right. Thank you, Sumant. And the thing about this one is that they are particularly suited for fiscally sponsored groups. So what it does is it minimizes the back end of getting the funds into your account. And so that most of the other platforms, they're set up to send inquiring systems a check once a month. And that's not all, they all do all kinds of things, but We Did It is much quicker for you to actually get the funds that you've raised. And so Claudia is going to go over We Did It because we've actually invested in setting up an Inquiring Systems Inc. We Did It master account, and we're inviting all of our projects to check it out. You don't have to use We Did It. As you said, there's plenty of others, but this one in particular is one that we've been impressed with. So Claudia, you want to talk about it a little bit?
Just one quick thing, Pam, I like this particular point that you just made that they're partial to fiscally sponsored organizations. I think that's a really, really important point. So it'll be worthwhile. I will definitely take a look at this now that you have set up a master account there.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And thank you, Pam, to give the introduction into We Did It. I will back up a little bit. I think earlier this year, we really found the growing need of really taking a closer look at traditional online fundraising platforms. And as said, there's a variation of those out. And all of them have their advantages, they have their strengths. But as we introduced already, none of them are really meant for fiscal sponsored projects. They're meant for nonprofits as a single entity. And what We Did It is really looking at what are really the important functionalities of all these platforms. So number one, you can create campaigns, campaigns as we traditionally known from Indiegogo or Kickstarter or GoFundMe, where you can have a goal and people can individually pledge. There is the possibility to add perks. Perks, we do believe, is a very important piece to really engage further into your donor community, because you're creating a shared, you're exchanging something more, you're giving them something back. And why we don't go into the details right now, that would be the webinar that we're planning with Claire in January. We talk about more the pledging and different perks and so on. So that's one part of We Did It. And the way how they designed their interface, it's really easy to set up your campaign. You don't need to have a big computer knowledge or a computer wizard into your house. It's very straightforward, and we are offering a lot of support to help you getting going. So everybody who we had, I think, 25 projects who we onboarded in an initial round, and we will soon, for those who haven't been on there, so we will send out another invite to participate in the We Did It onboarding, and there's a form that we will ask you to fill out, and the data of the form will create your initial campaign platform, and then from there on you can design it. They're also offering membership drive, which is an additional fee they're charging. And what is really intriguing here, close to the additional like text to give, they're collecting a lot of demographics about your donors. And in terms of getting to know your donors, like what is their giving history, not the giving history only towards your project, but what is their giving history towards other donors that they are supporting. It also gives you information of if this individual, or for example, is connected to a company that is able to match donations. So there's a lot of under the hood that is hopefully supporting you in your fundraising to be even more successful. And again, you will receive another email from us. There's an onboarding video, and we are there to really answer all your questions. Not in this webinar, but if you have specific questions, please shoot us an email, and then we take it from there.
And we will be getting you and some of you, I think, already received the initial email, but not everyone took advantage of it. And we are not requiring this at all. It is just an option, and an option that we find to be quite robust, and hopefully you will too, that it'll turn out to be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Claudia.
Yeah, so
there's a little bit more.
Yeah, so there's one little tiny bit more, because we really want to be here transparent. So there is, of course, a percentage that We Did It is taking. So with the total platform cost and credit card fees, it's 5.2%. Which is under and lower than, for example, CrowdRise and Fundly. They're at 7.9, 7.8. Donately is 5.9, but it's a little bit more difficult to handle. Network for Good has its own versions and so on. So it's kind of on the lower spectrum of the percentage. So yeah, we hope that you enjoy it as much as we do. Okay, so that completes the We Did It part.
Okay, very good. Oh, so Leah, you've raised your hand. Let me, you're not muted, so go for it.
Yeah, I had a couple of questions. So
Sure.
Is We Did It just a text to give platform, or
No. Let me go into this, and again, I think as a follow-up, we will send again the We Did It information to everybody. We Did It has the option of text to give, which is actually a paid function. But what they have, you have a donate button, and then you do have the ability to create individual campaigns. And these campaigns can be anything from just a simple, here is, this is the amount of, with a goal. You can add perks, you don't need to add perks. So you can go really in depth into those campaigns, or have a very simple campaign.
And that part is free with just...
That part is free, yeah. They're also offering membership opportunity, which is an extra fee. So, but the campaign, the simple campaigns and the donate button is free.
Yeah, and the big thing I think in this is the way that they help you really organize your donors. That, to me, that is something that is, I believe, a hard part for small nonprofits especially, and that having all of your donors organized in one central location with all of their giving history, with some demographics about them, to me, and this is at no additional cost. They do take their percentage of the donations, that's for sure, but they give you all of this recording sort of database piece at no additional cost.
Well, and the other advantage, and this actually is the lead over into our next part, so the thank yous. So we did it, has the ability to set up automatically thank you notes with all the relevant information. And that alone is for everybody who has done already an online fund driving platform. This is huge. I mean, the fact that this has been taken care of, it's all kind of in the right format. You can write your own personal message, you can personalize it. But so this is all set up already.
I'm sorry, can I ask one more question?
Sure.
Do you know if it has the ability to do recurring donations, like a month?
Yes, the answer is yes.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. And Leah, we will be getting it out. We do ask you to work through us to join because you're hooked in. I mean, you'll find your way to us in any event, but we'll send out the form and you can, and we'll get you hooked into our account. So yeah, thank you, Claudia. And do we have any other questions about We Did It at the moment that we can answer before we move on? All right, looking good. So we will move on to talk about the follow-up, and that is the thank you. So yes, the automated email tax deductible info is definitely a time saver, but I hasten to add that it is so important that personal touch. Whenever you can offer that personal touch, and I know you guys, you know this, but reaching out with even a handwritten thank you when it makes sense, and to recognize that what you're doing is you're building an ongoing relationship. Because if someone is given to you, that means that they have a passion for what you're doing. And that is someone whose passion is unlikely to go away. I know that for myself personally, the things that I have passion for, I have in large measure had passion for my entire life. And supporting an organization that is working on something that I really feel is valuable is life enriching for me personally. And so I think that that's the takeaway message from today, is that you really are cultivating the heart message of your organization and then working to develop that. And there are other ways to do it. You know, we wrote here, pictures are worth 1,000 words. My goodness, when the Humane Society sent me an after picture of the animals that my donation had helped, it was extraordinarily moving for me to see that and to have that full circle of seeing my donation at work. So anytime that you can make that happen, that is definitely something that you want to do. And of course, you can acknowledge on your website, thanks. You can do a lot of different creative ways to help build your community, because that is really what this is about. It's about relationship management. And so to sort of start to wrap up, it's your donor data and the updates and the input that all come together into donor retention. And so donor retention is what you're doing: development, donating, and then retaining these donors for the future. So we are really hoping that the overarching message, and we will be sending out these slides, so you will be able to review them and look at them, and of course, you know, it's always easier to keep your donors than to find new ones. and then to build relationships with them. Because what we're really talking about here is generative fundraising. That is the new catchphrase, and it is about co-creating relationships between your organization and the people who are supporting you. So I think that is basically the end of the material that we want to share, but we very much want to open this up to you all. And I'd be curious if anybody sort of at an aha about what the passion, heart message of your organization is, and if you'd like to share that with us. I know it's hard to put it into one sentence, and that's really where the work is. Fundraising is work. It definitely is, but we think that it's well worth it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
this is Simon.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to thank you. This is really comes at a very appropriate time, and I was just working on this today, and just the idea of passion that really helps me a lot. And just that's what I'm trying to get to is the essence. Very, very good, Pam. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, one thing that I want to really share about fundraising strategy. Like whatever way you're choosing, I mean, we touched on this, so the email, the web page, a campaign, writing written letters. In the moment you can tell really from your story, like you I know that some of you are the founders, some of them are working with the founders, like this passion that the organization that you're having, if you're speaking from it and make it personalized. So don't shy away from really like, why do you join this organization? What matters for you? All these things are so important key points to really get across this heartfelt feeling that we are talking about here.
I have a question. This is Leah.
Sure.
I also really appreciate this. We just had a meeting about this yesterday, so this is very well timed. One question that keeps coming up with us as we set up like our donor system is this idea of giving perks or gifts or like different names for levels of donors. And I'm just curious like what the field is saying now about this. How important is that? Or is it not that?
Right. Good question. Yeah. Well, I think to some degree it depends on who your donors are. If they're donors who are on their phone, on their screens all the time, and maybe are younger and can relate to that or have an expectation of that kind, the ones who cut their teeth on Indiegogo, then yes. I don't think that appeals to all donors. I think there's some quote unquote old money that really is not moved by that. I'm not old money, but I'm old, and I'm personally not moved by that. That doesn't influence me, but it depends on who your audience is.
And one thing that I want to add to it, so if this helps you to really foster a deeper relationship with your donors, then go for it. If those different perk levels speak just by the sound of their wording towards them and the perks that you're giving, yes, and as Pam said, if this is not helping the relationship, then you need to ask yourself if it's worthwhile even to go down this track.
Are most now you didn't tell us what your organization is, Leah. You want to just mention that?
Yeah, we're called the Core Community Foundation, and we're helping increase access to trainings and workshops that help cultivate compassion and mindfulness and sort of community building.
And would you say that you're looking to help younger people?
Yeah, that's part of our mission, is to help younger people and then also help people who don't have access to this sort of resource.
Right, right. Yeah, and then the donors themselves is sort of worth thinking about. Are they young people themselves, or are they more folks who might have spent, the last 30 years receiving a paper request at Christmas time?
They're both.
They're both. Oh,
Yeah.
excellent. And see, that is really what we're trying to get at. You have to be agile in this world. You need more than one aspect to your fundraising. It's unfortunate, but true. And it's understood, you're not going to be able, probably not a lot of us have the bandwidth for a multi trajectory campaign, but you pick like the two ones that you hope are the smartest for your donors.
Mm-hmm.
And then learn from it. That's the other piece, is at the end of all of this, you really want to take a little time to look back and make some notes for next year on what worked, what didn't, what makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, is there anyone else who'd like to ask questions or share something? These have been great questions. Really appreciate it. All right. Well, we want to really thank you for joining us today, and just for the heck of it, we're going to move over here to saying hi to you guys.
Hi.
This is
Hello.
Claudia.
Hi.
Well, I don't know if you can see us, but anyway. Hi.
Yeah, because that's really so true for us. We are definitely believe in not casual isn't the right word, but we do want it to be personalized, a personalized service for you, to help you do your good work in the world, which we really love doing, is supporting you in that. So
Okay, thank you.
with that,
so
we
much.
would say
Thank
good night.
you.
Bye to all of you guys.
Bye.
Take care.
Thanks a lot.
Sure.
Bye.
Bye.